All right, everybody. Well, welcome to Replace Your Income with Kevin and...
Gary.
Wait, what? Gary.
Not Steve.
Hold on. Wait a sec. If you're watching on YouTube, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that doesn't look like Steve, or does it?
Or does it?
Or does it? We have the amazing, the brilliant, the incredible, the one, the only, a good personal friend, the rebel entrepreneur of all rebel entrepreneurs, agent supreme, and an all-around good guy / Bigfoot enthusiast, the one and only Gary Norris is in the studio.
Gosh, that is unbelievable.
Hey, you know what? Look, you had me on a podcast that you did a long time ago, and your intro for me was better than that. So, you know.
Yeah, my intro for you, though, it was accurate and true. You just talked me up for no good reason, and you made me pay you $100.
Yeah,
so.
Listen, thank you for that 100. My wife's really going to appreciate those earrings. Dude, thanks for coming in, man. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
So if you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcasting platform, you're going, wait a second, isn't it Replace Your Income with Kevin and Steve? And the answer is yes, it is, except that Steve has stuff going on, and we were going to interview you today, Gary, and then Steve is too busy because I'm the CEO and my name is Steve Earle. And so we're like, dude, let's just do the podcast, you and me.
Exactly. Plus, he made me wait for an hour and a half.
I know.
And then said, Bill, not going to be in there with you.
You know what? That's such a CEO move.
For a calm, soothing guy, he's pretty downright vicious.
Yes, just vicious, just so bad. No, so the day just kind of got away from us. We actually had, so for those of you watching this amazing studio, we now let other people use this studio because it's like the coolest studio ever. And so we had somebody using the studio earlier when we thought we were going to record. Then when the time came that we could record, Steve was unavailable. So here we are. And Gary, I am sorry, but you're going to be just stuck with me
It's
today.
way worth it. I'm happy to be here, trust me. And you know that anyways.
I do. And you were here last week, which we are so much appreciated. We did this incredible agent training last week. I can't remember if Steve and I mentioned it on the podcast before, but we've got incredible agents like Gary and his team and other agents all across the country that are our boots on the ground teams. And sometimes you guys come in and we get to have some fun and be together and just make sure everybody's on the same page and make sure that we are serving our done-for-you real estate clients in the best possible way. So you were here last week as well and got to hang out. And then didn't you go up to Idaho over the weekend to visit your grandson, and then you came back just for this?
Just for this. That's the things we do.
You know what? That's because you have a brand new, beautiful Kia Sportage.
That is true. It is my road tripping wonder right now, and I'm putting it to use on its first maiden voyage.
You know what? And Gary road trips. Like, as long as I've known you, Gary, you are a road tripper. Like Gary B. road tripping. Okay?
That's exactly right.
I want to get a shirt made for you that says Gary B. road tripping.
And with Bigfoot tracks on it.
Bigfoot tracks. I love where this is going. Dude, thank you for coming back. Thank you for being here. So for those of you listening and watching, today's kind of a special episode because we get to feature Gary Norris. And for those of you who don't know who Gary Norris is, you're about to get the introduction of your lives because Gary has been an instrumental.
That's a good word. I'm instrumental.
I was going to say instrumental and integral, and it came out instrumental.
I like it.
It's
a new word.
We're going to roll with it. Gary is the most instrumental person in this.
We're talking gratitude. I know. That's perfect.
So we go way back with Gary. Gary, so for those of you who don't know, Gary has been hanging around with Done For You Real Estate for, at least a decade, right?
Just over, yeah.
Just over a decade. Gary opened up, the last podcast I think we did with you was when we were probably announcing Oklahoma City.
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
And you guys, how many transactions did you do for our clients over the last couple of years in Oklahoma City?
I think right around 150.
150, which is unbelievable. And so we got Oklahoma City up and cooking, and then you said, okay, what's next? And not now, look, in addition to opening a brand new market that we're going to talk about here today, you've also been helping Done For You Real Estate interview and find incredible agents all across the country as we are looking at opening these new markets. So you've been instrumental in working with and training market agents, as well as you opened and got Oklahoma City up, running and cooking, and now you've been instrumental in getting in getting a new market that we've only been nibbling around the edges in, but we are so excited to be able to announce it on the podcast officially so that everybody knows that we've got this new market, and we're going to talk about that today. You are now in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, which is our newest done-for-you real estate market. Right?
Absolutely. Yep. We're super excited to be there.
And so today, on today's episode, we're going to talk all things Dallas because everything's bigger in Texas, including, I'm hoping, the profits, right? Is that how that goes?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The rents, the appreciation, everything's bigger.
The taxes, yeah.
Not that part.
Oh, sorry.
Just because it's real and true.
It's kind of funny because look, that's what we get to do. We get to talk the real, and we love Texas, but property taxes are a little bit higher in Texas, and that does create a challenge. But also, Texas has so many incredible benefits just in terms of population and industry and growth and appreciation and neighborhoods. And I mean, it's an incredible market. And so we'll get into all of that. But for those who don't know your story, Gary, take us back, way back in time to when you first learned about us, these jokers over here at Done For You Real Estate. Go all the way back, because if people don't know the story, it's such a great story.
It actually
I think we
is.
should talk about it.
It is a good story. So I got into real estate about 2000, right when the market was like prepping to be a big run. And by 2005, I quit my job as a pharmaceutical sales rep, and I was doing real estate full time. I wasn't even an agent yet, just investing. And then fast forward to me paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, close to $100,000 in real estate education over the course of 10 years. In 2011, someone came to me and said, Gary, you need to meet this company in Utah. This guy named Kevin Clayson, Steve Earle, they run this company, but they do real estate for people, and you need to go to one of their seminars. And it was just at a point in my life, Kevin, where I was kind of done with going to real estate seminars because I kind of thought I was all that in a bag of chips and I knew everything, which is really not true, but it's kind of what I did feel at the time.
Well, I mean, to be honest, Gary, you were all that in a bag of chips because how many people can say I went from peddling drugs full-time to a full-time real estate professional?
I guess that's true.
From drug dealer to real estate. I mean, that people don't need to know what kind of drug dealer, but I just think that could really work for you. That'd be instrumental to your success.
Yeah, when you get pulled over by a cop for speeding and you've got cholesterol medication and toenail fungus drug in your trunk, you actually don't get arrested. It worked out pretty good.
Awesome.
So I had this friend tell me, you need to go to Utah, and I was in Idaho at the time, go to this seminar and hear this guy named Kevin Clayson, and they're going to talk about how they do real estate for people. And I honestly, I just said I'm not going to go. But I really trusted and valued this friend, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. I brought a friend with me. I said, Ron, you're coming with me. We're driving to Utah. We're going to a seminar. Just don't ask questions. We're going to we will just go and be quiet, and then we'll drive back to Idaho. And
do you remember where in Utah it was? Was it up north? Was it Bountiful?
It was in Bountiful.
Okay.
Yeah, Bountiful, Utah.
Because I think I remember, I know exactly where the hotel was, and I think I remember the night that you came.
It was the Country Inn and Suites right off the freeway.
Yep.
And I got there, and there was a lady, before you get in the room, on a table, Cheryl Buckley, and she's like, hey, you need to sign in your name, your email, and your phone number to get in here. And I'm like, dang it, I don't want to be sold crap. So I honestly made up a name. I'm Dan Baker, not Gary Norris. Here's my phone number. I made up a phone number. I made up an email, and I just went in as Dan. And I sat down and I folded my arms because I was waiting for a fight because I was going to be sold something and I was going to just resist it. And I remember crossing my arms and just sitting like this. And then Kevin is introduced and Kevin starts talking. And if you know Kevin, which you do, because you just heard him over exuberantly psych up this whole room when this podcast began, that's kind of how he is on stage. And when I first saw him, I'm like, this guy is a flash in the pan, razzle dazzle piece of crap. And he is not here with a good heart because he is way too showmanship. So he must be peddling something and trying to cover it up with his showmanship.
Kevin Razzle Dazzle Clayson.
Razzle Dazzle.
Yeah, that's
Dude, I'm so glad I listened because instead of keeping my arms folded the whole time, you really started talking about some key principles that I was like, my ears were perked. And I'm like, what the heck? And my friend Ron, he's like, Gary, this is like legitimate. I'm like, I know, Ron. I think we need to learn more. And at the end of that night, you said, we're not here to sell anything. In fact, we don't have anything to sell. But if you're interested, you need to reach out to us and we can have some next steps and talk about how we might be able to work with you. And if you're not interested, we get apart as friends. And I'm like, talk about taking away my reason to want to fight.
Right.
And I had to come forth and I had to say, hey, I really need to confess something. My name's really not Dan. I'm Gary Norris, and this is my real email and my real phone number because I think I want to play with you guys, and I think we need to go down a road. And that is how we first met.
Yeah.
And it was I learned, Kevin, that even though you're exuberant and you're showy, that is just who you are.
It unfortunately is.
Thankfully, you are that way because I love you. I love you like a brother.
Thanks,
and
man.
I've seen the way you've helped people in this company that you run with Steve. This is why I still follow you guys around, because I know your character, I know your integrity, and it's the integrity of Done For You Real Estate is the whole reason I really kind of keep plugged in with you guys, and I love it.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that, and I would echo everything back at you. Like your integrity, when you opened up Oklahoma City for us, I was so excited because I'm like, Gary, and I literally talked to clients on the phone that were thinking about going to Oklahoma City, and I would literally say, look, all of our markets are equally awesome, but let me tell you something. If you go to Oklahoma City, you get to work with Gary. And because Gary, you are that guy. You are full of integrity. You are such a professional. You have so much knowledge and experience in real estate that the experience in working with you and with your son Preston is just unparalleled. And so I'm just so thankful for you and for your friendship. And it's crazy, guys. I look at Gary across this desk here on this podcast, and sometimes it's weird to me to think about how much history we have together, Gary, and all the things that we've experienced together, separately, together, whatever. I mean, it's really incredible. I mean, you and I went to numerous hotels over the years where we would talk about Done For You Real Estate and what this thing is with others. And you and I have been to events together, and you and I have had these really interesting paths, and it's developed this friendship. And I'm so thankful for you and for how you show up to serve the Done For You Real Estate clients in these markets to help them transform their financial lives, which is what this podcast is about. It's what the whole real estate thing is that we do. It is about one property at a time, one transaction at a time, the right kind of real estate in the right market done with the right set of conditions that truly can transform somebody's life, because literally income replacement for you and your family may be only one property away, because one buys two, those two buy four, and on and on and on. And you've seen the lives that have been changed. And so you've had this, how it's changed your life. And then you've had this front row seat to working with clients. And that's why I just think this is such a fun podcast. And it's so that we get to talk about you, that we get to share what this story is. And then we get to say, look, all of that background and all of that story culminates in we are now open in Dallas, Texas.
Yes,
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about what the process was like for you to say, Oklahoma City's awesome. That's up and running and cooking. Now we're going to go to Dallas. And so talk about why that shift. Talk about why Dallas. Talk about the things that you've discovered as you've been in that market doing deals, because we are so excited to announce that Dallas-Fort Worth is on the menu now for Done For You Real Estate clients.
Yeah, and we could be more happy to be there as well. Now, I remember 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago next month, that we opened up Oklahoma City. And our intent was to open up the Dallas market. That is what my son Preston and I wanted to do then. And we went on a 10-day journey back 2 years ago before July to look at various markets. And the last market we looked at was Oklahoma City, but it was only the last market we looked at because it was the last place I wanted to live. But all of our data was saying, hey, even though we want Dallas, we really should go look at Oklahoma City. And I'm really glad we did, because we launched in Oklahoma City in a market that was small enough. There's 1 million people versus 7 million in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Sure.
And it was a small enough market that Preston and I could delve into it, figure it out quickly, and serve the clients great product with 150 transactions.
Amazing product.
And the whole time we're like, we need to get ourselves back to Texas when the timing is right. And the timing was right earlier this year. We've been there now for about 3 months. And full time, we're there right now. And as we're passing off Oklahoma City to new agents that have replaced what we're doing there, and they're handling it amazingly. But the reason we really were excited about Texas is and you hit a few of them, Kevin, but the opportunity to be in a market that has got millions of people in it, and not, a million is a lot, but we're talking there's 7 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you look at all the metro, that's not what excites me. But what excites me is you could be in multiple pockets of suburbs that are perfect for done-for-you real estate. For the typical home, when you drive through a neighborhood and you're like, I can't tell if this is a renting neighborhood or an owner neighborhood.
Right.
And those are the kind of neighborhoods we like to be in, like solid Class B neighborhoods. Even though Dallas-Fort Worth is so big, it's set up to, but no matter where you are, you're an hour away from everything.
Yeah.
And that is really, really nice. And it gives us a big opportunity. We love the fact that we can find quality homes, and what I believe, and I firmly believe this, that the Dallas-Fort Worth market and Texas in general, but specifically Dallas-Fort Worth, is prone to some amazing opportunities for appreciation, more so than I feel personally in other DFY markets. So for my greedy reasons of wanting to give a customer or a client an opportunity to have appreciation that may surpass other markets, that's why I wanted to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then, of course, we have strong rents. The rents are super strong in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And because of that, and you need strong rents because, yes, there are some other expenses that are higher, like property taxes. But the reason we like it is because it gives people a varied place to have their asset, their real estate, their piece of real estate being in Texas. And Texas, it is not going away. That state is growing. It's only second to Florida.
Right.
And there is so much influx into Texas, and it is wide open spaces. And as we delve into other avenues and markets in Texas, I think we're going to be able to just do huge amounts of service to done-for-you clients in that regard.
Well, you talked about population increase, which is always an indicator of a good market to be in, because if there's population increase and if there's anticipated continued population increase, then simple supply and demand dictates that it's going to drive prices up over time, which we're seeing absolutely in Florida, have seen for years in Florida, and now are seeing absolutely in Texas. I mean, if we just think about kind of what's happening since COVID, the mass exodus from these kind of coastal states and from, states and governments that maybe are not as owner friendly as other types of, states and cities. And you look at that, and dude, there's so many people going to Texas for that reason. That's why a lot of people have gone to Florida. And so now we're able to capitalize on that. The other thing that I love personally about Texas, really 2 words. One is Buc-ee's and one is Whataburger. Is Whataburger one word? I feel like it.
Well, it is now.
Okay.
So you just said it is. So
yes.
It is actually one word. Buc-ee's is amazing, I will say.
Yes.
I stop at Buc-ee's more times than I probably like to admit. You know what else I do in Buc-ee's, Kevin?
What's that?
I mean, I probably shouldn't admit this. Every time I go to Buc-ee's, I go into the restroom and I take a selfie of me standing at the urinal because it's so freaking huge. It looks like a restaurant behind me.
I have seen some of those selfies, and it is huge. And you know what's funny is, okay, so I was driving. I was speaking at an event in San Antonio, and I had another event that I was going to speak at in Dallas. So I just rented a car, and I drove from San Antonio to Dallas because I'd never been in Texas. And I was listening to an amazing book at the time, and I was like, man, I'm just going to drive across Texas, and I'm just going to listen to this book. And so in commuting across Texas, I had to stop, get gas, get some food, go to the restroom, and I see this massive store with all of these, and it reminded me in Utah of the big Mavericks, but Buc-ee's was way bigger than that. Like humongous. I was like, what is this thing? And I went in there and I was like, this is magical. And the funny thing is, my son was just watching a YouTube video. He loves amphibians and stuff. He was watching some YouTube video, and some lady who talks about snakes or something, she had all this Buc-ee's gear on, and I walked in and I was like, Buc-ee's. And I said to my son, Brax, I was like, do you know what Buc-ee's is? He was like, I have no idea. I was like, let me tell you about Buc-ee's. so look, Texas has Buc-ee's.
Yeah. Side note, I mean, the bathrooms are bigger than a Maverick. I
yes.
mean, the bathrooms are so big and they're so clean. I'm like, I've never been, and that is why Buc-ee's is what Buc-ee's is.
Yeah.
Is they're known for their bathroom
it's
and their food. But it is an experience.
Yes.
And so, I'm kind of happy about the Buc-ee's thing. Sadly, but true. Yeah.
So Texas, there's a lot that Texas has going for it, and some of the things that I've really enjoyed in watching kind of the homes come across. As we've started to find homes for clients, and we started to submit and create property analysis for Texas. And there's been a couple things that I've noticed, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but you let me know. Number one, I like that they are not just congregated in one area. I mean, like you said, there are multiple subdivisions and areas around the Dallas-Fort Worth, kind of that metroplex, that fit the done-for-you real estate criteria. That's been one. And two, the next thing I'd like you to talk about, I know you guys have also been looking at and cultivating some relationships with some builders from a new construction product standpoint. So talk just a little bit about that, kind of what you're seeing in these properties and in these subdivisions, and maybe what the potential future option might be for new construction as well.
Yeah, that's really a key thing about the Dallas market is we could be, whether you're south of Dallas in Waxahachie, which is an amazing town. And
Come again, and where?
Waxahachie.
Waxahachie.
I called it Waxahachie once, and then they laughed at me, and then I heard the proper way to say.
Is that like in Utah when you drive through a city that is literally named Hurricane, but it's not Hurricane, it's Hurricane? Is that so? It's
same thing.
Waxahachie?
Waxahachie.
Waxahachie?
Or Waxahachie, but not Waxahachie.
I want to live there because I think that'd be fun to say. Hey, Kevin, where are you from? Waxahachie.
So we've closed a few homes there already, but whether it's there or you're in St. Josephine and McKinney,
The
Plano,
patron saint of
Frisky,
real estate, is that St. Josephine?
I guess so. It is now. Yeah. But there are all these, you can go in any direction on the metro and find the key areas that are good. And what I love about it is our property management partner, SPM.
Yes.
That is their base headquarters.
Yes.
So we have this advantage where we already have this property management company that we partnered with that manage thousands of homes in the Dallas-Fort Worth market.
Yep.
And because they have that relationship with them, we went there knowing that we can tap into their database and knowing where we can, the pockets and the areas where we want to focus on in the metro area. It's way too big to discover on your own as we're like newcomers to Texas.
Yes.
But when we can rely on the property management partner and we realize there's a pocket that works and it's in Granbury, but it's 45 minutes away, but it still works. And there's a pocket that works in Waxahachie or in Ennis or in Josephine. And when I went there originally thinking, I'm like, hey, we're going to be in Arlington. It's right in the middle.
Sure.
And so we're going to move there, which we did, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we're finding stuff in Arlington, but I quickly learned that and that's why we had this little relationship. That's why it made sense to go to Dallas now and not 2 years ago, is that we're able to cherry pick the areas that we're focusing on. And that is really important.
That's
because
critical.
In any market for DFY, if your listeners just knew this, which they do, they learn this when they become a client or when they look into becoming a client. But when you realize the fact that every home we ever submit to a client that is a live opportunity, you can buy it today, and here's your opportunity. That has gone through so many sets of eyes that it is incredible, and they are not always approved.
No.
They're not approved way more of the times than they are approved.
I was actually going to have you comment on that because I know one of the things that we've been working with SPM and learning the Dallas market, you guys have been there finding all of this amazing real estate, but the process of finding a home that hits all of the criteria, that checks all the boxes, talk about what your experience has been with that, because I think you're right. I think when people listen, they think, oh, sure, there's just lots of real estate out there. Any property would work. And we would come back and say, not even close to any property works. We have a buy box. We are very particular in terms of what works. And it's the reason that it's worked for 15 years for our clients, because the kind of real estate has to fit a box. It has to check a number of boxes and fit a set of criteria. And it goes through multiple layers of eyes, and it goes through multiple layers of just making sure that the numbers fit the model. So kind of talk about what that experience has been like.
That's true. Because the Done For You has your buy box, it honestly is like McDonald's. You can go to McDonald's anywhere in America or the world, and you know what you're getting. It may not be the best food, but it's good food, and you know what it tastes like. You know what your experience will be like. Your Done For You buy box is so good that whether you're buying in Memphis, Indianapolis, Oklahoma City, or Dallas, or Orlando, you're getting the same set of criteria on all of these properties. And so your clients know what to expect. Well, when we're in the Dallas market and we can tap into SPM, the property management partner, It has to go through my team, myself, my son Preston, Tyler Pincock. The three of us are the agents that every day we're scouring the opportunities that are in the market. And this is a daily thing. It's hours a day. It's not. We're talking literally probably 6 hours a day that Preston and Tyler do this.
Let me hit pause. I just want to make sure that everybody heard that. What Gary just said is hours a day. The MLS or the market is being scoured for deals that fit the buy box. And I think that's so critical to learn. Number one, that there is a team that is on the ground doing this stuff. And number two, that it is not just, well, that one, I see that one has a for sale sign. That must work. You guys are literally spending hours scouring for deals that fit the box.
Yeah, just because it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home and it's priced at $300,000, that's the beginning of the buy box. So when we identify these in the buy box, our first set of eyes is the 6 hours we spend on searching them. Then we take what we find, which is a couple a day, not hundreds. We look at hundreds, but we take a couple a day. We send it over to the property management team so they can vet it for rents and location and an estimate of what it would take to get it in rent-ready condition once you own it. And once they get the rent to us and we know it might fit in the range for Done For You to approve it, we then send that the box to the Done For You team in Utah, and they run the full-on DFY analysis. And if it gets approved, they ship it back to us in an email and says, here you are, here's a property analysis, full vetted, approved. It's had 3 sets of eyes on it, the agent, the property manager, and Done For You system. And at that point, and by the way, this takes place in one day.
Yeah.
It's an awesome
quick,
process.
Yeah.
But we, within a 24-hour period, we've identified a home that works. And by the time we get that email back that says this works, we also get, for every one we get back, we get one that say it doesn't work. And we're right now in Dallas. When we first got there, we were about 35% approved and 65%, hey, this doesn't work, and here's why. And when we're the agent and we're going, everything we send to them we think might work.
Yeah.
And we're learning this system, and now we're at about 50%. Mm-hmm. And that's about the go. It's about a 50% success rate. And that's what you want as a client.
Oh, yeah.
You want a home that has been vetted through 3 sets of eyes in any of the Dallas and any of the DFY markets. But when you know it's been looked at by the property management team, the agents that are experts, plus DFY in their system and their box, by the time it goes to you, it doesn't mean it's a screaming deal. It's like what Kevin says. It's a solid base hit.
That's right.
But the thing is, it's a solid base hit that's been vetted, and it's not going to be around for long because these are the kind of homes that everyone wants, but we just vet them so good. And we have one lady right now. She's in New York. The poor gal, she's missed out on like seven in a row. And that is not good for us. We usually, you might miss 2 or 3, and then you get one under contract. We have had 7 that we've sent to her, and she's missed out on all of them because they've gone under contract just before she said, let's make an offer. Yeah. And she has yet to make an offer on one before we can get the offer out. And so that's a competitive market. It is. But the thing is, before we can get those 7 for her to look at, we probably went through 30 of them that we couldn't even send her. And so this is not easy stuff.
No.
This is amazing stuff, though. And that's why we do it, and that's why we love it, because I know you give a product, Kevin. You and Steve give product to the end buyer, your clients that are, I always say, I never doubt that I would buy this house myself if I wasn't the investor. I've never sold a house to anyone with DFY that I wouldn't personally wish I could buy for myself. Yeah, and I do buy some for myself, but it's not like I can buy all these houses, you know?
I can honestly say in all the property analyses that I've gone through, I don't ever look at one and go, sucker. No, because they all fit the box, and they will all work over the long run and, frankly, in the short run as well. What I love about this, and what I hope that if you're watching, if you're listening, what I hope that you're seeing is there is a really critical, important, but really powerful interaction and relationship that takes place between market teams, property managers, DFY team, and then you as the client. This is a real, true team effort. This is not real estate for lightweights, but at the same time, we are doing so much of the heavy lifting. I mean, imagine if somebody wanted to go to Dallas and try to figure it out on their own, right? You've had that experience now. It's so big. There's so many homes. How would you possibly
You don't know where to start.
You don't even know where to start.
You really do not know where to start.
There's so much that's there. And so what I love about this is I hope hope that as you're watching and listening, you're getting a feel for what does that interaction look like and what does make a good deal a good deal. And we don't even really call it a good deal, right? I love to say
solid
it's
singles.
a purchase-worthy property. It's a solid single. It is worth buying and hanging on to. That's the reality of these properties. And that's the reality of these markets. We're not in every market. We're in these markets. And we're not buying every property. We're looking at these properties. And the other thing that you brought up is, look, you're not going to win every single deal that you offer on, or you may not even be able to offer on some of them, but it's so critical that if you are watching, listening, and you're in the buy stage, right, where you're to the point where you've gone through the done-for-you real estate process, you've gone through onboarding, and now you are working with your acquisition coach, and you were trying to get a deal under contract, it is so important that we're doing everything we can on our side to go as quickly as possible, but it's, and this goes back to a couple podcasts ago. Steve and I did a podcast about how the market has normalized. In a normal market, normal markets are competitive markets. They're not hyper competitive like they were a few years, I guess, what would that be, a year or so ago?
Yeah.
When everybody's offering and they're offering $50,000 above asking price. It's not that hyper competitive market, but it's also not the market where nobody's taking action. The people that are taking action right now are primarily, well, at least in our experience, and you can tell me if you see it different, it's composed of there's still institutional buyers that are very interested in putting capital into real estate like this. And then there are those that are not sitting on the sideline that are saying, I know that right now is a good time to buy. And then, of course, you've got just people that are looking for primary residences. But you don't have, right now is kind of a good time because it's not like the market is flooded with a bunch of wannabe investors, but you've got a savvy people that are in there trying to buy as well as institutional buyers, which is all the more reason why you've got to have a team that's doing the vast majority of this work and heavy lifting for you so you can find deals that you can take advantage of without having to be a full-time real estate investor or an institutional buyer, but being able to buy the kind of stuff that they want.
I agree. The reason this market is so good still, yes, interest rates have gone up and it's priced some people out of the market. That is what has scared many of the mom and pops, or the wannabe, not mom and pops, but the wannabe investors.
Very true.
They're out. They're out because they're
no
freaking out right now. And I don't blame them. Maybe you should freak out. You're not educated.
That's right.
And you don't have a system in place. You probably should freak out and you should not be in the market. But also, the institutional buyers, although they're still there, they're mostly out.
Yeah.
Because they've got billions on their books and they're like going, well,
now what?
What do we do now? And so that's kind of out too. But the reason the market is still strong is because there's no supply. The supply is limited compared to the demand. In Dallas-Fort Worth, for example, a strong normal market in Dallas-Fort Worth is 6 months of inventory. Right now, it's 1.8 months of inventory. And that's at the market in whole. That's the whole metro. If you focus in and scoop into the good areas like McKinney and Frisco, and those are like 500,000 people, like 1 million people live in McKinney and Frisco, north of Dallas. Just that market right there is a month of inventory. Not you're on the house.
Yeah.
There's not that many.
No.
And so one reason Dallas is really good. It's our job to find a good deal that's priced right, and this is how we do it. So we'll find our clients right now. We may show them a property that's been on the market for a day or 3 weeks, or 2 days. It depends on how it's listed and how it's being offered. If the seller is very aggressive with their price, it's going to be on the market for a while because it's not going to get the offers.
Sure.
And we're aware of that. So when we're looking at that home and we see it's been on the market for 2 weeks and it's not sold, there's one reason. By the time we look through all of our boxes, the only reason left is their price.
Yeah.
They're asking too much.
Yeah.
And so we can come in and suggest our buyer, hey, we're going to offer $10,000 lower, and maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't. But let's not go ask $10,000. Let's not offer their asking price. And we get it. We get it. I mean, Steve just bought a house $10,000 under asking price. It appraised for $25,000 over sold price. It was amazing. But the reason we do it is sometimes sellers are too aggressive, and other times sellers are very competitive. They'll offer it at a wow, this is a good deal. It is at price. It's priced right. And they'll get 5 or 7 offers on it in 1 day or 2 days, and it's gone. And we find those too. And those are the ones that we just are always doing this balance. So we may send our same client, may get one from us, and we'll say, hey, we suggest maybe we offer $7,000 less, and maybe we don't get it, maybe we do, but the next time we're showing them a house, we're suggesting you offer $4,000 more.
Yeah, right.
That's why. It's all price specific because it's met all the details that we need in our buy box. And we're just trying to find those nuggets that we can get accepted. And sometimes they sell for more than asking, sometimes less than asking, but it's a pretty quick market. And it's kind of that way, I think, in all of your markets right now.
No, for sure. And what I love is just that demonstration of that expertise, Gary. I mean, imagine if somebody was trying to figure it out on their own and they're just seeing prices and they're not looking at hundreds of deals on the regular to know that something has been sitting and maybe is overpriced or just came on the market and is maybe underpriced and super aggressive. So you guys in the field being able to have that expertise is critical. One of the things I like about what you said, and we'll wrap the episode here in just a minute, but one of the things I love that what you said is we're not talking about low-balling offers, right? There are investors out there that think that that's the way you go about it, right? My wife is so funny because anytime we go to Mexico, she just wants to get a deal, right? She just wants to talk somebody down. And a lot of people enter the real estate market thinking the same thing, that you're somehow smarter than the seller, so you're going to be able to just talk them down. That's not what you're talking about. You're talking about a research-based approach and actually taking a look at layers of analysis to be able to go to a seller and say, this is the offer and this is the reason. And that's the reason you guys are winning some of those.
Yeah, and also, I guess to finish my thought wholly, the reason in Dallas and a lot of places in the country that the inventory, the demand, there's just no inventory, that it's low, is because we have millions of homeowners across America have a great house right now with a 2.5% interest rate. Yeah. And they get this idea in their mind that, hey, let's upsize, let's upgrade and go find another house. And then they go look at, they call their mortgage guy and they go, oh, interest rate's 6.5%. I'm going to sell my 2.5% mortgage to go buy a 6% mortgage. I can buy a house that's $200,000. I lose buying power, my leverage, and so they just choose not to sell their house right now, and they stay. Yep. And that is why this market, even though the economy may be feeling strained, the prices aren't. The market's not crashing. No, because inventory won't allow it to crash. That's right. Yeah. And so why is this a good time to get in real estate? Because the demand is there, and I fully 100% believe that, even though the sky may be falling in some people's minds. Real estate is very interesting, that it is in this, it's an interesting dichotomy right now.
It really is. It's an interesting market, and that's why we're here on Replace Your Income, to be able to share with you what's happening in this market, what's happening in Dallas, what's happening nationally, so that if you want to be able to change your life bit by bit, one property at a time, we can give you everything that you need in order to be able to do it. Gary, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for talking about Dallas. Any last words before we sign off?
Just a shameless plug.
Yes.
Okay, so I made it my priority when we opened up Oklahoma City. I mean, Dallas, Done For You Real Estate is amazing. I love them. I love them. I can't say enough. I speak highly enough of them. But when I found myself in a position to open a market, and I know they have other markets, well, I'm a competitive guy.
Yeah,
and
you are.
I guarantee you that when my son and I went to Oklahoma City, our goal was to be the number one market for Done For You Real Estate. Because my competition for me as an agent, really, if I want to look at it selfishly and not think about Done For You Real Estate, but think about Gary Norris, I want as many clients sent to me over Memphis or Indianapolis or Knoxville, and when I'm in Dallas. And I do not want anything sent to Oklahoma City. Yeah. I don't want nothing sent to Memphis. I want you to send all your clients to Dallas. Yep. But the pledge I make with me, my son Preston, and Tyler, that is our full-on goal, is to give so much service and value to your clients that they want to come to Dallas, that they hear enough good things about the Dallas market, that they say to your account executives, we've heard that Dallas is the place to be, and we're doing our darndest to make it the best place for your clients.
That's awesome. So if you were shopping right now, make sure that you tell your acquisition coach, I want to go to Dallas. But really, Gary, thank you so much. Dallas is such an exciting market. I think we are going to be doing hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of transactions with you guys in that market for all of the reasons that you described today. Thank you for coming in and talking a little bit about it. You're amazing. Guys, make sure you go to the website, dfy-realestate.com. Click on the See the Properties tab, and you are going to see Texas properties that you can look at, get a feel for it. Also, make sure, if you have not done it, make sure you subscribe to the Daily Fastball. You just go to dailyfastball.com, and we are sending deals out that are live deals that you can purchase. We are sending them out Monday through Friday, and some of those are Texas deals. And so if you want to see what the numbers look like, you want to see what those property analyses look like, make sure you're on the Daily Fastball. Go to dailyfastball.com, subscribe so that you can get the daily text. And then also make sure you just go to dfy-realestate.com so that you can take a look at the properties. Gary, thanks for coming in. Thanks for filling in for Steve. thanks for being amazing. And let's do another Dallas podcast in the not too distant future. We can get everybody up to speed.
Sure. Let's record one now and release it in 3 more months.
That sounds good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you real soon.
See ya. Thanks, guys.